We're here in Manila for the final round of the playoffs. David Kamino on pole from Daniel Bogdasarov, Akari, and Iron at Babness. The four drivers fighting it out for the championship today. And it's T. Gabo, Solos Kynes, UK Ball, iWorld, and Theodore Schumacher. Then it's Leo, Yuki Suo, Milrez, and Pastor Maldonado. Lawless Leclerc starts 14th, then it's Daf Sanchez, Bob, and Jaco Tigranes. Marcus Nelson is 18th from Vashi Chantan, Sebo Campo, Revo, and MF1 World. We've had an amazing 23 races in Season 15, and for our 24th, we return to Manila. All 5 lights go on, and the Manila playoffs round is green, and that's an even start from the front 2 men on this opening lap. I think Bogdasarov on his last outing for DS Andretti before he heads off to Virgin Racing next season. I think he might have got a little bit of a poor start because he's still in second and he's currently being dragged by Akari there. Akari to P2. David Kamino, however, holds the race lead from Akari. And now T. Gabo up into third. The Italian Nissan Nismo driver. Brilliant start for him. Babinus and Bogdasarov drop down to 4th and 5th. Virtual safety cars out. And Yuki Suo, he left playoff contention last time out. And he's going to end his playoffs journey with a retirement in the Manila night race. Now, Kamino leading this race from Akari. Of course, Akari. It would be a dream to win it at his home race for a second time in one season. He would be the only man, he currently is the only man to win in the Philippines as we go back racing. Kamino's still holding the lead, but the thing is, with Akari, he wins this race, and he's going to have 2 championships to take home. I would be very surprised if Akari could take it home, but you know, he does seem to be doing pretty well in that Pinnacle car. He's on the more common strategy out there for the top 4 on the grid, top 5 still, because Gabo has infiltrated that area as we begin the second lap. But unlike the Manila race in the regular season, where we used the 2014 F1 graphics, we're using the 2014 Formula E graphics, which are a little less refined than they were for the F1 graphics, a little less shiny. The reason they're not as shiny as they are in real life is because I didn't want to spend more time making those graphics than I had to. But anyway, fastest first sector for David Kamino. That is a 29.716. And to be completely honest with you, Kamino on those soft tyres, no wonder he's going quite a bit faster than Akari. But we're still on board with the number 10 driver. He came into the playoffs as the driver's champion. He left the first round of 10 as we ride on board with Gabo. He left the round of 10 just about sneaking into the round of 6. He comfortably got through to the final 4. So now he's just got to finish up the job. But he got David Kamino in the way and the strategy from Hyperdrive and Andretti as well. Bogdasarov there, he's trying to go for 4th. He's going for broke. Gabo's having a new fastest lap, that being reset by Bogdasarov, who takes 4th. Akari dives down the inside on the 3rd lap in Manila, and the master of the Philippines retakes the lead of his home race. And he's really, really good through those turns. This is a completely different layout than it was at the end of Season 15 for this night race. And there goes Kamino. He's been passed by Gabo, who I have to say, really impressive qualifying from the number 29. And he's currently second. And he's being pressured as David Kamino by Daniel Bogdasarov. So that is not what the number 88 crew need if they're to win the championship today. Just a reminder, the championship in the postseason is just going to be called the postseason champion instead of the overall champion. But considering that Akari is currently leading the way, I think it won't matter. Sebo Campo, he's dropped off half as much time as he is, as Revo is from Akari. Is there a problem with that Andretti car? We're looking at the minimap and there most definitely is. He's dropped off miles away and he's got a puncture. Sebo Campo, he started 20th and he's got a puncture. Truly unfortunate happenings for the man who was challenging for the championship in the regular season. In the postseason, dominated the first round, but crashed out in the first race of the 2 races for the round of 6, and that took him out of playoff contention. I hope we go on board with Ocampo. Yeah, he has got a rear puncture there for the number 1 car, and that's really not how he wanted it to go in the slightest. UK Ball, by the way, after his teammate in David Camino is coming to the pits, UK Ball currently 4th. And his time in the playoffs was absolutely horrid. The only way he could have gotten in was a race win. Didn't get that, so he's currently just 4th. But as we look at Akari and now Daniel Bogdasarov on lap 4 of 12, it is Akari from Babnas from Bogdasarov. Akari pits, on lap 4 of 12, now 5 of 12. I'm really struggling to talk here. MF1 World's fastest second sector of anyone. He's currently down in 20th position in the slipstream of Jaco Tigranes. Akari's going to come out here. He's going to come out behind David Camno, who is coming down that main straight. That right there coming out of the pits ahead, that is Akari. Akari has jumped, or rather stayed ahead of Camno in the pits. Yellow flags in the first sector, and that is for Bob. And he hits 5-second time penalty for him. He hits T Gabo. Dav Sanchez also with a 5-second time penalty there, and he lost his front wing too. I'm pretty sure they just had an altercation there. Makes sense, to be completely honest, as we enter that second sector. Long turn here for the Mexican number 11 in what could be his last race if he gets replaced. While Renault rebrands. Lawrence Leclerc there currently 14th in a little bit of no man's land, if you ask me. Marcus Nelson has dropped to 20th position. He is still keeping up somewhat. A little bit of a worry the times he's putting in. Into the pits comes Inet Babnas in the number 14. He's going to go on to some soft compound tyres. Bogdasarov also pits, so iWorld will lead the race for the first time in his career. iWorld leads an E-Prix for the first time this season. We believe a Mercedes leads a race. As iWorld now trying to... Oh, that's very close on pit exit with iWorld and Babnas. Babnas crossing over that white line. I wonder if he'll get a penalty, even though it is a stupid rule at half race distance. Top 3 drivers currently in this race, all hard tyre runners. Vasichan Tan, however, under threat from both Akari and Salas Kynes. Akari then getting past Vasichan Tan there at a part of the track where if you don't get the move done, you're going to suffer with understeer and hit the wall. That's exactly what happened to Yuki Suo. So you just really have to, on a street circuit, you have to be alert, as a Jolien Palmer once said. As we look at UK Ball, well, he's currently 9th. I think he's definitely under threat from Daniel Bogdasarov. Akari 11 seconds off the lead, but the top 2 are still yet to make their first pit stop at half race distance. The hard tyres, if you have the car to do it, they can be goated tyres with like a top 5 qualifying position, maybe even top 10. If you qualify in the top 10, you will gain at least 3 positions if you start on the hard tyres. Or the equivalent when it comes to time. Into the pits comes iWorld, Tador Schumacher, so Akari will take the lead on lap 7 of 12. He's never had a Grand Slam before. Don't think any drivers had a Grand Slam before, led every lap, pole position, as we see Gabo get past David Camino. Fastest lap as well. As here comes David Camino. Can he send it down the inside? Not quite. But here comes Bogdasarov on Iron Babinets, up into third for him, almost grazing the wall a little bit. Bogdasarov currently with the fastest lap of the Prix, a fastest lap that his teammate dearly wanted to have last time out. We've got 5 more laps to go as his teammate does come into pit lane. Bogdasarov to third position now, and I think someone's dropping back a little bit. Gabo fighting with Babinets over P3, really hindering the Romanian's charge for the lead. He's 6 seconds off the race lead. Bogdasarov 5 seconds off the race lead. So they're hoping that Akari can get a time penalty, so then they can just eat into that gap. Babinets, track limits warning. That's his first one of the Prix with 5 to go. And we've only had 1 retirement. This is a track layout that's been used in Saudi Arabia, in Nigeria, in South Africa. It's made its way over to the Philippines as we see Gabo come into pit lane. Akari has also pit for a second time and probably his last. He's going to be on mediums, however. And this is a track layout that usually sees a ton of crashes. But we've only seen 1 so far as Babinetti's gunning for the race lead. Thinks better of it than to overtake here. He's the most experienced driver in the playoffs. Hyperdrive Racing currently have the most experienced lineup, and yellow flags that Theodor Schumacher causing a collision, and I believe someone might have a puncture. We go back racing, and U-Cable, we looked at him, not too sure why, but yeah, Bogdasarov currently leading the way from Babinets and Camino. As that is Theodor Schumacher? No, that's Marcus Nelson dropping down the order, fighting over 13th currently. And he's just really fighting over position, not too much to do there. The 2 Brawn cars, they're going to go side by side coming through the final sector. You don't want to be too close to each other here, or else you might wreck. But U-Cable, he's got attack mode. He's going to take P3 from his own teammate, although I expect him to come into pit lane. Top 2, both in the pits currently. Nope, just Bogdasarov. Bogdasarov is in pit lane. Meanwhile, Iron Babinets has stayed out. We look at Akari now making up some positions due to other drivers pitting, and Vashi Chantan went 8 laps on his hard tires. 8 whole ass laps. That is the level of brilliance that they can give as the 2 Pinnacle cars now swap positions up into 8th, almost colliding with Revo. There was Akari on this 9th lap of 12. 3 laps left to run. And oh, puncture for Revo! Revo's got a puncture! Lap 9 of 12, he's hit! He's been hit by Gabo, who gets a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision. My goodness me! I cannot believe it. The most experienced driver on the grid. He couldn't win the championship in season 14 or 15. He was given a new lease of life in the playoffs, knocked out in the round of 10. And in his last appearance in season 15, he's going to get a puncture on lap 9 of 12. Unbelievable. The entire nation of Italy sits with their heads in their hands as Revo has to drop down to 20th position. I doubt it'll be 21st because of how far Ocampo is. His teammate in Babinets comes into pit lane, comes out on softs, and I think he might be overtaken by Akari. Akari powering down that main straight on lap 10 of 12. He's going to get past Theodor Schumacher. Babinets is behind him, so it's the race lead for the homeboy and Akari. Akari takes the lead of the Philippine E-Prix if you're inclined, the Manila E-Prix if you're correct. Theodor Schumacher in trouble there. Eye-world in the wall. Yellow flags, virtual safety car out. Virtual safety car. And Leo is out of the E-Prix. It took a while for the virtual safety car graphic to appear. That's just gonna it'll be how it ends for the number 30 car. And Pinnacle Motorsports in their last race is fully in control of the team. Next season they get bought out 50% stake by Orello Motorsport to become Orello Pinnacle. We go back racing then, 2 laps left to go. As both Ocampo and Ravo came in on that lap, the 2 back markers back off the back. And it's just so weird to think that Ravo, he came in so early on. He was in season 1 and he's raced every single race. Marcus Nelson, 5-second time penalty for causing a collision. And Jaco Tigranes also with a puncture. That's your 3rd puncture of the race. David Cameron, track limits warning up ahead. Yellow flags in the 3rd sector, and that's for MF1 World, who has hit the wall. Lots of damage on that Skoda Volkswagen car. We're on the penultimate lap of the Prix. It's Akari from Bogdasarov, from Babnas. Theodor Schumacher has pit, so Kamno is now up into 4th. The top 4 in this race, all playoff contenders. However, they cannot win the playoffs unless their name is Akari currently, because Akari is leading 6 seconds ahead. They need to pass Akari. They need to get a move on to get past the number 10 car, so they can then have at least a chance of overtaking him and taking the race win and the win in the playoffs. Yellow flags, that's in the 1st sector. Revo track limits warning, and that is for Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz placed last at the end of the season overall in the regular season. But on this penultimate lap, it is still a card from Bogdasarov and Babnas as we're on board with Jaco Tigranes. He comes in for new soft tyres. They might try and go for the fastest lap down there, but we have cut out the ending portion. I'm just letting you guys know, so he does not take the fastest lap. On board with Babnas then, as he's trying to close in on Daniel Bogdasarov. We're on to the final lap of the Prix. Akari from Bogdasarov from Babnas. Akari about 500 meters up the road, quite possibly more. But Bogdasarov, he's defending with all he's got from the Romanian number 14 in Iron Babnas. He's gone very deep into that 4th turn. Surprised he didn't get a track limits penalty there. Babnas weaving around trying to find any sort of space to try and get past Bogdasarov. Kamino reluctantly has to hold station in 4th. He can't really fight for a higher position. Sanchez defending 9th over Vashi Chantan and Marcus Nelson, and they have both now dropped off. Nelson trying to close in as much as he can to Vashi Chan, almost hitting the wall, but he just misses out on crashing out, thankfully. So now Babnas still on the back of Bogdasarov. He's doing everything he can do, but for this man, he's done everything that he's needed to do. The regular season championship went to Akari. He got into the playoffs surefire, but he rounds out now the penultimate turn. He's going to come through the final turn. He won in Manila in the regular season. He's going to remain the only man to win the Manila Prix, and Akari wins the Manila playoffs race and the overall playoffs itself. Bogdasarov comes home with a P2 finish, Babnas P3, and he's going to get the fastest lap as well. Kamno comes across the line, P4. Then it's Maldonado, UK Ball, MF1. Well, look at this for 10th position. Vashi Chantan and Marcus Nelson. Who's it going to be at the line? And it's going to be Marcus Nelson for 10th position. Vashi Chantan 11th. Bob 12th with the fastest lap. And this is the podium then, composed of only playoff drivers, as it usually has been throughout this playoffs part of the championship. But it's Akari who wins the season 15 playoffs and the final round of the playoffs in Manila. Then it's Daniel Bogdasarov and Iron Babnas, the top 3. Then it's David Cameron, the playoffs drivers, Pastor Maldonado, UK Ball, MF1 World, Lawrence Clerk, Vashi Chantan, and Daf Sanchez, the top 10. Now in the final Drivers' Championship for the playoffs, Akari wins from Daniel Bogdasarov, Ina Babnas, and David Kamlo. The top 4 that we can show you. Yuki Suo was 6th with Sebo Campo ahead. But there you go, confirmation. For the second time in one season, Akari is crowned champion. I wonder what we should give him. But I know what we'll give you in due time. Another season of our brilliant championship, the FEMC. So we'll see you guys next time then for season 16.